If you watch my original Ridgefield Waterfront video, this is your update and it's a significant one. The Port of Ridgefield just announced they are extending their agreement with Palindrome Properties, the developer behind the waterfront redevelopment, by a full year. And they're pausing all development applications and development conversations for the rest of the summer. Here's the thing though, this isn't a random delay. This is a direct response to you, the people of Ridgefield. Quick recap for anyone new. The Ridgefield Waterfront is a 41-acre property the Port of Ridgefield owns along Lake River, right at the edge of downtown. It was an industrial lumber site for decades. The cleanup took more than 30 years and $90 million. In late 2024, the port signed an agreement with a Portland-based developer called Palindrome Properties. The vision, which recently became public, includes apartments, a boutique hotel, retail, office space, a light industrial maker zone, and an 8-acre waterfront park. Groundbreaking was being targeted for late 2027. Then the renderings came out. A couple months ago, when the initial renderings of what this project could look like were released, the response from Ridgefield residents was loud and it was clear. People showed up, they pushed back hard. Concerns about multi-story buildings towering over the waterfront, permanent residential housing on what many see as public land, the impact on the boat launch, the wildlife refuge next door, traffic, and the overall scale of the project. The feedback was not subtle and the port heard it loud and clear. That's what led to this. The port is extending the MOU a full year and stopping all development conversations through the summer, specifically to create space for the community to be heard before this project takes another step forward. They said it themselves at their last meeting, we have one chance at this and we want to get this right. That's the right response. That's a public agency doing its job. So where does that leave us on the substance? What do residents actually want? From everything I've seen and heard, two things keep coming up consistently. First, residents are strongly opposed to permanent housing on the waterfront. The feeling is that this land, cleaned up with decades of work and public resources, should serve the public, not become a residential development. Second, there is significant resistance to any buildings over 2 to 3 stories. The scale of what was shown in those initial renderings didn't match what people envisioned for their waterfront. Now there are also residents who want no development at all, and I understand that sentiment. This is a special piece of land. However, through various funding mechanisms, there's been over $90 million spent on the cleanup, and the port is looking to stimulate the economic growth in Ridgefield. The city is growing. Doing nothing isn't really a viable path. So the real conversation this summer isn't development versus no development. It's about what kind of development actually fits Ridgefield. Something that activates this waterfront in a way that serves the community, respects the setting, and is economically sustainable. That middle ground exists. Finding it is exactly what this engagement process is for. On the timeline, we are now looking at late 2028 as the earliest for a groundbreaking, realistically pushing from the previous target of late 2027. For buyers and homeowners in Ridgefield, the short version is this: new downtown housing supply is further out, which means continued pressure on existing inventory. If you want the deeper breakdown on what this means for the local market, my original waterfront video covers that ground, and I'll link it below. And if you want to be part of shaping what comes next, the port has built out a serious engagement calendar running all the way through September. They're not waiting for people to come to a government building. They're coming to you. On the presentation side, Main Street Community Meeting on June 18th, Ridgefield Art Association on June 22nd, Golf Cart Tour #1 on June 26th, American Legion Post 44 on July 7th, Friends of Ridgefield National Wildlife Refuge on July 13th, Walk with Ethan on July 17th, Lions Club on July 22nd, Golf Cart Tour #2 on September 16th, and a Chamber of Commerce date still to be announced. On the tabling side, where port staff will be at community events taking questions, Ridgefield Farmers Market on June 27th, July 18th, and August 8th, Paddle for Life and Day of Festivals on August 1st, National Night Out on August 4th, the Multicultural Festival on September 5th, a Ridgefield Raptors game TBD, and additional boating and paddling events still TBD. Port Commission meetings are open all summer. Commission workshop on July 3rd, Commission meeting July 8th, workshops on July 17th, August 7th, and August 21st. Commission meetings August 12th, workshop September 4th, Commission meeting September 9th. And then upcoming this Wednesday, June 17th at the Waterfront Community Meeting, there will be a new community poll that goes live. I cannot stress enough, please take the poll. It takes a few minutes and is one of the most direct ways you can put your preferences on record. The port has said they want to hear from the community. This is your chance to make sure your voice is heard in that data. I'll have a link in the description of this video the moment it goes live, and I'd encourage you to share it with your neighbors too. The more Ridgefield residents who respond, the clearer the picture the port gets of what this community actually wants. The port has one shot to get this right, and they know it. What's encouraging is that instead of pushing through the noise, they stopped, extended the timeline, and are spending the summer genuinely listening. That's what good stewardship of public land looks like. But here's the thing, that process only works if you actually participate. The poll that drops on Wednesday is step 1. After that, there are events and meetings happening every single month through September. You don't have to go to all of them, but go to at least one of them. Fill out a poll. Show up at the farmer's market when they're tabling and tell them what you think. The pushback from those initial renderings proved something important. The people of Ridgefield are paying attention, and when they speak up, it changes things. This summer is your window to make sure the version of this waterfront that eventually gets built is one you can be proud of. Don't sit it out. Make sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss updates as this moves throughout the summer. I'll be covering each major milestone. And if you or someone you know is thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing here in Clark County, Washington, that's my full-time job and what makes these deep dives possible. My info is in the description. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.